Hey, welcome back. So we're gonna try to get this continued here, and I want to just send an apology right away. I feel like I'm losing my voice, so if it starts to crackle or go out, my apologies there. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this round, and then we'll do like a recap of where we're at. Just my smaller recap for right now is this is the very first operating round of the game, and so you can see that the map is starting to develop, and we're starting to get track in various places, and we have various companies that are starting to expand, and this is how the game develops. And in this first operating round, it's pretty much, I don't want to say scripted, but you know, there's only so many things you can do on the first turn. So it's not, there are ways you do have choices to make, and we do have negotiations you have to do with other players, so you can cooperate with each other and not block each other. Blocking each other is a part of the game. There are some rules that you can't block each other in a super mean way, but you can be pretty darn mean. One example, of course, is that BHB, even though it doesn't look like it, they actually blocked us from Berlin. This is a city that we would have to go through, so we can't go to Berlin that way. And then this is a mountain, so we'd have to pay to go through the mountain. And that's what they essentially did, is they caused us to have to, pay to go through the mountain. And so, and I'm just realizing that this should have been a turn, like so. Okay, so we're almost done with this first operating round. And in case folks don't remember, during an operating round, these are the 7 steps you get to do. Most of them don't apply because there's just no reason to do them at this point. And what you're watching us do is we're constantly laying track. I think in one case you saw us place a token. That was Lawnmower in England. There are no trains to run because we're buying our trains this round, and that doesn't happen until step 6. Now, I did want to show one shenanigan, and I was trying to look for a good example to pull these shenanigans, and I think we're going to get a good example. And so what does shenanigans mean? It means trickery. During the buy trains phase, one of the things that players can do is you can actually buy trains from other companies. So I'll show you an example here using my companies. When Kibbles and Bits takes their turn, at step 6 when they go to buy a train, remember they haven't bought a train yet, okay? But when they do take their turn, they would buy this train. And the only reason this train's here is because we proactively did that to save time. What they can do is they can actually go over to Company L here and buy their train. And so you can actually just pay $1 if you want. Since you're buying from your own companies, you can set the price. And so for just $1, you can just buy another train, and now you have 2. Now you might be wondering, well, what happens to this other company? That's the thing. This company is screwed. But these companies, the miners, will do what's called a forced train purchase. And so they will be forced to purchase a train from your personal money. So be mindful of that, because personal money is how you win the game. You may not want to do that, but that is a strategy you can do. And by the way, a train purchase with your personal money would be about $225, because it would be the 3 train that you're forcing the miner to buy. Now, the other thing I can do is I can, so I take this DSJ here, right? So this company is a regional company. It is not a miner. And I can do the same thing for $1. So I can take this train from the regional and buy it. And the moment I do that, if this company's turn comes and they can't buy a train, you don't have to buy one. It can just keep going negative on the stock board. So the shareholders will get upset and the stock value will plummet, and you can let this company just tank. and it's true. You do not have to have a train for these types of companies. So you can intentionally tank one of your companies to get another company to run faster. Now, why would you do that? It's exactly what I just explained. You want this company to take off like a rabbit. And right now, they're all sort of neck and neck if you look out here. And one of the things that you can do with that strategy is you can usher in the purchase of a 3-train. Because a 3-train costs $225. It takes a while for companies to be able to afford that. And you can get that purchased in these first 2 operating rounds if you pull stunts like that. And so the only person I think that could pull a stunt like that and get away with it would be Medici. But Medici was forced to purchase all those extra companies just because he didn't want to do a bogus operating phase. Because remember, everybody was out of money and there were still 2 companies left to be purchased. So Medici had to blow all of his money on 2 more companies. So what he can do is, he didn't want those 2 companies in the first place. So one of those 2 companies he can trash and then do what's called a cross buy. And then later on, those companies can afford to buy one of these. So, and the other thing Medici could have done is, if he didn't have to do, and he had to, he could have bought a lot of shares of just one of his companies. And when you buy a lot of shares of your companies at $90 a share, it's going to have a lot of money in it. And so therefore it can afford a price like this. That is something that we were not able to do in this game. Now, had Medici held out and let everybody do an operating phase where we didn't actually purchase all 30 trains, before we started the operating rounds, he probably could have pulled that stunt, but it wouldn't have been as effective. So this is one of those games where, because of the way I managed all the AI players, we started a lot of companies at $90 a share. And so that spent a lot of their personal money. And if you start companies in the smaller regions, $60, $65, the fact, the rule of the game is you just need to get 30, on the board, right? So we need to get 30 to basically start a full game, right? Most of the rules unlock once you have the 30 companies figured out. So if you start a lot of your companies for a lower price, you can get more companies on the board for less money. And so if everybody goes for premium value, then it's going to be really hard to get them on the board. And that's how Medici got screwed. Okay. If people would have spent, lower dollars on their shares, Medici might have worked. His strategy may have actually put him out way ahead. So that's something that you have to bear in mind, that when you're playing a multiplayer game, or even when you're playing against yourself like I just did, if you set off to do a strategy at the start of the game, you're going to need to adapt and adjust. Because Medici had to adapt a little bit, and I don't know if he's going to adjust real well or not, but we're going to see. But the thing about it is, very few people went with the low, and so it therefore created a situation where everybody ran out of money. And so the other value of going low is, even if you don't have a Medici type player with you, is if you have a lot of extra money, then you can buy more shares of your stock before we start the operating phase. And just like I said, this is a magical number. If you can get that much money in one of your companies, then you buy one of these trains. That unlocks all of the green tracks. If you'll notice, we have nothing but yellow tracks out here. And so the very moment that somebody buys just one of these trains, the green technology, we enter phase 3. Is, see how it says level 3 there? We enter phase 3, and then we can use the green tracks. And so that means all of our revenues for all of our companies goes up. So I know I went very long-winded here, but this is a very critical and crucial strategy to all 18xx games. And it's a subtle one, and you may not notice it at first, but when you start playing your games, you're going to see people pull shenanigans. That's the word I use for it. So they can accelerate getting one of these purchased. In this game you're watching, we're probably not going to get one of these purchased by this in this set of operating rounds. We're going to probably have to have another stock round, and then you'll see these get purchased left and right. But anyways, that's enough of that. We are on Plum's turn, and so you're going to see De Gaulle try to do this, and so Plum is in France. And what De Gaulle wants to do is he gets to lay 6. Ooh, I made a mistake. I made a big mistake. Looky here. Plum was first in the turn order. So he went major with it, and so I moved the wrong token up there. We already took a turn with Plum, and so we laid 3 track points. But Plum actually has 6 track points, and he should not have gone yet. To be honest, it affects nothing as far as the gameplay goes, but we do need to get this fixed. So let's go do that right now. And so what you're going to see is that Plum laid 1, 2, 3 of his tracks. Okay, so now he just needs to do 4, 5, 6. So what he's going to do is we're going to have Paris go from here, there, and there. So you're going to see 4, and then 5, like so. And then he's going to not lay a 6th track because he can't. Paris costs 2 track points, and he does not have 2. He had spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll have to do that next turn. Okay, so coming back over to here, we're going to take Plum, and it'll lose 1 in its stock value. And like we were talking about last time, they always preserve turn order. So anytime you enter a stack, you always enter at the bottom. And then last, on the top of the track here is Kibbles and Bits. That is us. And we have a difficult situation. We already talked about how BHB blocked us. And so you can see... So you can see here, Berlin is where we want to go to. And they made it so we have to go through mountains now to get to Berlin. Not the most impossible task in the world, but it's definitely going to be more costly for us. And I'm looking at our Kibbles and Bits money, and here's what I have. I do have $40, so I can afford to go through the mountains, so that part's good. We also have the option of going to Strasbourg, and that will give us some money, and the amount of money right now is $20. It'll be more later, but you can see here, see that little blue? It's trying to show you that it's in swampland, so it's going to cost $30 just to lay track there. So I'm going to spend $30 to put track there and then get $20 back. I lose $10 out of that deal, so it's not a good deal for me. This is a grand city, so grand cities pay very well. This is another grand city, also pays very well, so I can make track that goes to there. But once again, I have to go through mountains and wetlands to get there. And so it's not the most ideal path. A better way would be to lay track that goes all the way up and around and then down. And I know it looks like it's blocked, but as soon as we get green track, you can come through. Green track will add a 3rd leg to all of the tracks. And so we can always enter what looks like it's closed now, but with green track, we can easily get into there. So that's going to be our strategy, is we're going to go around, and we're going to go for Berlin first. So we're going to use this track to get to Berlin, and then that same track we're using to get to Berlin will branch off to connect to this as well. I reserve the right to change my mind 30 times, and I probably will, but that's what we're going to do for now. And And so I think I'm going to start off with this, and I'm going to bank on the idea of going through this mountain to get to another capital city here. So I'm not sure if I really will ever do that, but that's something that I'm thinking about doing. Okay, we're running out of double whistle stop yellow tiles, and one of the things that I'm running into is, for example, I'm seeing a lot of these types of double whistle stops. So it's not necessarily what we want, right? So we'd have to zigzag, but we could use it if we had to. And I'm digging through the stack. I am finding a few more. The other one I'm finding is this, which is even worse because now we're forced to go into the mountain. So this is one of the disadvantages of going last. And so there are, like I said, they're very limited tokens, and I got very lucky. There's only one and only one of these left. So we're going to want, so we get to take it, of course. It's first come, first serve. But so that's 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 5. And don't worry about blocking people. Once green tracks unlock, this will be really easy to connect. And I know, and I'm only blocking myself because that's me there, but I'm going to have another way to make money in the beginning of the game, so I'm not worried. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one more for 6. So we didn't get blocked from Berlin that badly, but we did have to lose $30 to do that. And Germany, or Prussia, I should say, does not give you any discount for for mountains or water. So that's it for Kibbles and Bits. And remember, this is still operating turn 1, so we just bought our train. And we go backwards on the stock. Now, it does look bad because we went to the stock market early and we all go backwards. But in operating round 2, we're all going to go forward as long as we hit our numbers. And that's the thing. If we don't hit our numbers, then things start to fall apart. So I think you're going to find that a lot of these companies that started at 90 are going to backfire. They started off too high, and they're not going to bump back up. It's still not the end of the world if you don't bump back up, but that's just something to bear in mind. Okay, MSP is next, and this is Russia, and it's the St. Petersburg company. Now, Russia, if you're playing St. Petersburg, it's very important to understand that you have a port. And this port can go anywhere in this sea zone. So there's a couple of things to bear in mind. There's cities here that you can go to via port, but that's a private port, so you may not be able to. And what we did is we created a company here. See, there's a port there. So we can connect to this city, or we can come in through this port and then eventually do a run to that city. That is your best bet for making money early with MSP. However, if you take MSP as your company, you have to do something like this. Like he started a miner over here so he can lay track over here, because MSP does not have the rights to lay track in Sweden. And so your only other option is you need to connect to Moscow. And that is a viable option, but the only way you get to do that option is you have to go major, because you need the 6 track points. If you don't have 6 track points, you cannot get to Moscow. And so that's your dilemma. So if you take MSP, you are always going major, or otherwise you're really not playing it very smartly. And so here we go. The first thing is we are sitting on a metropolis. So the metropolis for St. Petersburg is a very special tile, and I'm just trying to find it here. and it looks like this. So it's 2-track, and you can orient it any way you'd like. You just can't have it going into the ocean or into the sea like that. That's the one thing you can't do. Actually, you can, because this is actually a viable space. So you can lay it any direction you like. This would be really dumb because that's a $30 swamp. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay it like this. And that does a couple of things. The first one, it screws me. So remember, Mr. Russia doesn't like me because I took this miner up here. So what he did was he oriented the track to go south, and I'm trying to connect to it from the north, and now I have to go all the way around, and I have to go through this swampland to be able to connect to it. So he just played a little dirty trick on me. And that's fine. And then the next dirty trick he's gonna do is he gets to choose where his token goes, so he's gonna put it there, which then forces me to go all the way around or through 2 swamplands, which I can't even do actually, now that I think about it. And this red line is impassable. I can't go through that red line. So that's 2 of his track points. So then he's gonna do three, 4, 5, and 6. Now, he's doing this because he wants to avoid paying all these fees, and this is the only way through. And then if you count, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he'll be connected just fine. So in fact, because he has enough track points, we're actually going to do this. And I know it seems crazy, but you want to get those whistle stops. And you may recall I told you this is the advanced player thing to do. When you're in an 18xx games where whistle stops are basically free to go through, you want to hit as many as you can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if this is gone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can easily get there. Okay, so that's MSP. And just like everybody else, he has to go backwards. And then last is our company, SB. So if you're looking at the companies that we are running, I'm not super thrilled with my start so far. In fact, I'm a little worried. I think we have an excellent miner in company L. I think our company J and DSJ are in great shape. The KBS and SB, I'm not so sure about. And so, apology, I'm losing my voice again. Okay, so this is 2 track points to lay this. And we have to decide where we're going to be. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my station here. So now SB is going to be on this path. And that blocks us from laying more track. But I'm doing that because I want the B company to come here. Mav doesn't care because as long as he's connected, he's fine. And someday maybe KBS can connect through. So that's our situation. And I'm done. I can't lay any more track. There's nowhere to lay track. Mav is blocking me from going through this city. So right now SB is stuck in a 2-city loop with no whistle stops. And so that's one of the reasons why I may want to go here. Let me think about that. So the only drawback to going there is that B, yeah. I'm gonna think about it, and we're gonna end this video and I will get back to you.